Okay. So very good morning and welcome everyone to this special breakout session entitled Confronting the Urgency of the Energy Transition, Our Responsibility for a Low Carbon Future. So how this session is going to be conducted, it would be a moderated discussion with time allocated for questions from the audience. So please submit any questions that you might have via Slido. You can scan the QR code on your name tag and select lecture theatre 8 and post them there. You can do this throughout the session and the speakers will address them accordingly. So now, without any further ado, I will hand over the session to Mr. Arjun Arasu, who is leading the Time Group's venture into renewable energy solutions with Time Energy. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Arjun. I apologize on behalf of my group CEO. He was supposed to take the role, but he can make it today. Right. I just to give you a heads up. Time has been a traditional telecom company. We are exploring and we have put our foot into the energy sector via two initiative. One is a home solar business, and the second one is a EV charging business. Right. The topic of today is how can an individual accelerate the energy transition, right? We're not talking about from government, we're talking from individual. Everyone talks about planetary health. Everyone talks about going green. It's a topic, right? In the past 3 days, you see in the papers every day, right? In Malaysia, right? We hear about it, but is anyone doing anything about it? What can they do about it? Do they know what they can do about it, right? Right. And if you know the facts, what is happening on the ground, like if anyone is curious, right, go and Google up about Malaysia sea level increase, right, in the next 20 years. You'll be scared of buying properties in certain areas. You'll be scared about living in certain areas, right? Flooding is becoming more frequent. Weather's getting hot, right? Anyway, just to share, we have 3 panelists here. We have Mr. Davis, who is the chairman of Malaysian Photovoltaic Industry Association. He's also the CEO of Solar West, one of the biggest solar companies in Malaysia, right? We have Mr. Davis, Mr. Max, right? He's CEO of Pantas. He is one of the leading carbon accountability guy. In the past few times I've talked to him, I've learned so much about carbon footprint and all that. He just told me 10 minutes ago that my shoe is my shoe has 50 kilos of carbon footprint, right? And he's telling me that his shoes is 28 kilos, right? And so I don't know what to say, right? And we have Mr. Zamzam here, right? Who is the chairman of Ziva, right? Which is very interesting name, Zero Emission Vehicle Association, right? EV cars, right? And his day job is Tenaga Nasional, right? Our favorite electricity company, right? All right. Why don't each one of you guys introduce yourself and just say what's top of your mind, right? And then we'll go into some questions above it.
Hello, I am Davis. Of course, I'm from Clean Energy Company. We are not only in solar right now, so we actually expanded out to as a clean energy solutions for residentials. We are in EV charging as well, and then we are in solar generations, and we are going towards the retail solar energy as well in some of the countries. So basically, we believe that everyone can be benefited by clean and affordable, efficient and affordable clean energy access to anywhere of the world. And of course, we believe in 100% RE in the future as well.
Hi, Max. So Pantas, we are a software company, and you figure what does software company have to do with decarbonization? So we actually help company to measure and then manage their carbon emission. So that's how I have random facts, like, for example, a leather shoe is 50 kg and my shoe is 8. But how is it relevant? I think, well, we can share more, but what we help is basically a lot of people like you care more about, or increasingly are more concerned about your carbon footprint, but how do we measure it? How do we make sure that the claims we make are real, through, and then and we help company not just measure, but help them to reduce their carbon emission by working with people, working with SolarVest, etc. So that's my role, and also we are hiring. So please,
It's good to know that. Okay, hi everyone. Assalamualaikum. I'm Ahmad Zamzam. You can call me Zamzam anyway. Okay, as been mentioned, I'm the heading the an association NGO called ZEWA Zero Emission Vehicle Association. It's at the moment we have 46 members, which is comprised of all the CPOs, car manufacturers, car dealers, and also the research institute at the university as well as the suppliers. So our for ZEWA, the main things that we are focusing on the full EV, or we call it BEV, battery electric vehicles, adoption in Malaysia, as well as getting the best policy for the industry is still new part of the very important significant contribution towards the energy transition of EV here. And that's where ZEWA as an association we are championing on this the transition of adoption. And then so the thing that my salary being paid by Tenaga Nasional. So yeah, again, tenaga or energy here is very plays a very significant part with regards to decarbonization. So you know that our generation mix in Malaysia at the moment, we are rely heavily on fossil fuel, but again we are moving towards the the greener energy. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, top up a little bit. I'm also representing Malaysia Photovoltaic Associations, which is only solar, the oldest solar associations is in Malaysia, and also we're probably the biggest in Southeast Asia, and we have about 200 members as well now.
All right, thanks. All right, so let's have a snapshot, right? Let's start with the EV industry, right? How many EV cars are there today, right? And first question, right? Second question will be, why is it so slow, right? And my personal curious question, and seeing other parts in the world, why Malaysia only focusing on cars? Why not scooters or e-bikes, right? If you go to China, almost every bike there is a EV bike, right? Right. Right. And the other question is that, perception, right, around the world, right? Like, in Malaysia specifically, right? EV seems to be like a rich man's toy, right? So anyway, first question, where are we today? Why is it slow? All right, and the other things around that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, how many cars today is on the road? So in general, as of end of March 2024, the number of cars, the passengers cars is about 19,000. 19, yes. There is a big jump if you compare to the last 1 year. From 3,000, now we are reaching at 19,000. I mean, end of 2022 is about 3,000.
So with zero tax in Malaysia,
yes,
it's 19,000 only.
Yes. Yeah, perhaps if you look at the numbers, comparing to the other countries, it's a little bit slow. Why? Because of the government. I'm not blaming the government here, but the policies from the government is that they want to have there will be a time that we are expecting our P1 and P2, which is Proton and Pro2, to market our own EVs. So at the moment, the one that under the government agencies, MITI is the one that championing on this aspect. So for them, we need to take things. I would say take things slowly, because you need to have a very clear plan what to do and when is. At the moment, fair to say, Pro2 and Proton are not really ready, and the earliest they can start to market is about next year. So as such, they limit the number of models, the number of cars that can be imported to Malaysia, because there will be a ceiling, a floor price, nothing less than 100,000 ringgit. So as such, hence, that's one of the reason, one of the contributing factor why maybe to you is a slow development, because of affordability. You can't get any EVs less than 100,000. Not many people can afford cars more than 100,000. So then this is maybe one of the contribution. So since only a selected people, only a certain group of people, which is in Malaysia, we call it T20, and they can afford to buy. So that's why only at the moment is about 19,000, and by end of this year we are expecting the numbers can reach about 30,000, 35 to 30,000 easily, because looking at this the development, there are a lot of models coming in, and it's getting cheaper and cheaper, and also the futures is very fantastic. So and we are expecting next year is about 40,000. So perhaps it is low, but
40,000 is still a drop in the ocean. I'm not saying anything, but I'm actually surprised to learn that we are still being haunted by the legacy of prior decisions, right? Right. The next, I mean, not a sensitive question, but is TNB ready for EV? Right. I will share just a big question, right? There was a building in KL that they wanted to install charging stations, but they said they have to upgrade all the power system to handle EV cars, right? I mean, are we ready for EV, or this slow is interesting, right? So I will say it's the AP and quota, but are we ready for it?
well, if you're talking about from the grid, national grid point of view, yes, we are ready. It's okay. If you think about, even if we have 1 million cars based on the projection, our simulation, all that 1 million cars, let's say all cars being charged at one particular time at the same time, our network, our grid is still okay, resilient to that. However, that is the national grid. So you know that that's the transmission. But if you look at the smaller scale, which is the distribution network, it's not that we are not ready. The power is there, it's sufficient. But certain area in certain areas, some infra need to be upgraded. So to answer you, is it ready? Yes, you're ready. But with some caveat, we need to upgrade on certainty. Perhaps that in your example, that particular taman or perumahan kind of thing, you need to upgrade the infra, and that is costly.
When do you think we'll hit 1 million cars on the road?
When do you think we meet the 1 million cars
yeah.
on the road? Well, projection now, let's say 2050 is only 500,000. 2050, yes. But at that time, we are targeting for the government is 80% of TIV is EV by 2050. So that's the TIV now, as of last year, is about 700,000. So
okay, I'm surprised. I mean, personally, I never knew that, right? I mean, I thought some countries are looking at 60% of cars EVs in 10 years. So, like, if you go to China, right, half the car. I mean, in Shenzhen, when I went to Shenzhen just about 6 months ago, right? Now, I'm not saying. I'm just saying that our goals a bit too.
that's the thing. That's what we are trying for Ziva. That's what we are trying to advocate the government. So
Okay.
I call it overarching policy.
Yeah.
In other countries, Thailand, Singapore, and you look China, they have their overarching policy. They have a very high level. We want to reach zero ICE car by a certain number of years. We don't have it in Malaysia, and government maybe not yet ready to announce that kind of target for now. So at the moment, only under a national energy transition roadmap on the green mobility, is just that they are targeting 10,000 EV charging infrastructure by 2025, and 80% of TIV are EV by 2050. That's all.
Okay, interesting, right? I'll finish up with EV before you continue, right? Interesting subject. I don't know whether you guys find it interesting. So today I read in the papers, right, that our leadership in the country is thinking of removing subsidies from petrol, right?
Yep.
Will our numbers increase actually, or are we still going to go to the nice, slow, gradual path because there's quotas and APs and the limiting of imports of cars, right?
Personally, I believe this is a game changer. Then it's going to be that you can see why from 3,000 number of cars on the road back in end of 2022. If you compare now we are reaching 19,000. So it's a big jump, 3-5 times, about 4-5 times from that. Why? Because of there's a lot of the affordability issue is still there, but there are lot of models on the road that is more attractive. A lot of option for the people. And also one of the, fair to say that I give credit to Tesla, although Tesla is not a member of Ziva, but whenever they launch the car, selling the car here, and the price is cheap. The excitement is one thing that, Tesla in Malaysia, the prices have with the tax, zero tax kind of thing, is the second cheapest in the world.
Okay.
So that is a game changer. So, and also the other one is that, again, if people comparing, if I, again, it's back to the cost. If I have to, the cost of, owning, driving an EV compared to ICE is so much different, then people will start changing.
So, I mean, I'll go to the next person related to EV2, right? Max, right? So you know carbon footprint, right? Something that I have literally have very minimal knowledge. Superficial, limited, right? What do you think of the EV cars and the resulting in the individual's footprint? And am I really contributing to society? Right?
So, okay, to answer that, the answer is yes, absolutely. Because, well, I know it sounds controversial, but and especially with Ziva, it's called zero emission vehicle. But I just want to clarify that if you drive an EV car today, you are not zero emission. And you were, what? What does it mean? And the reason is when you charge and your electric vehicle, the electricity from the grid is not zero emission. So this is something that you need to know and be aware of. But does it make a difference? It does. Versus an internal combustion engine, it is, well, depending on what grid you use, etc., it is half or more lower emission than driving a gasoline car. So you are making a difference, but it's not zero. So what else can you do? The extra stuff you do is solar. I don't get paid by Davis to say this, but stuff like that. So solar and eventually Tenaga will transition to lower carbon source, and then yes, you make a huge difference. So and so that's from a personal perspective, right? Okay, so that's the answer for EV. And
hello, fine. Right there, I mean, there was I don't know whether, I mean, anyway, different, Tenaga is going through a major transition in energy supply, right? So in the next 10 years, the energy mix of Tenaga will be fundamentally different than what it is today, right? I mean, all the plants that we see today, the coal plants and all these things, right? They're all being retired in the next 10 years. So hopefully the energy that we get from EV car, the footprint is, so I'm just trying to recap here, right? So I invest in an EV car, literally that on a year-to-year basis, with Tenaga changing its energy mix, I'm actually having a smaller footprint on a day-to-day basis.
Yep. Yes. So that you're definitely making a difference by changing to EV. So there's no denying that. So and from my perspective, because we help company measure carbon footprint, so just for everybody's benefit. So BRUSA, it's regulation, all listed company, we have around 1,000, slightly less than that, 1,000 company in Malaysia, listed company. They all have to start disclosing their carbon emissions starting end of this year, fiscal year end 2024. So you're seeing more and more companies taking action to start to measure their footprint. And then, of course, my personal belief is you can't manage what you don't measure. So with measurement, there's management of it. So excited about that. But for a lot of our clients, the reason why we're doing this is because of Europe. So they are having very strict regulation on what you can sell to Europe when it comes to carbon emission. So there's a bunch of regulation, not going to bore you, but basically they have introduced a tax where if you export to Europe on certain product, you'll be taxed based on the carbon content of that particular product. So if you lower carbon, then you can sell it cheaper. Your product is more competitive versus a higher carbon content product.
All right. Since Malaysia's KLSC companies who consume or emit carbon, right? So who's the biggest polluter?
Um,
Sorry, bro. We have to come. Let's take out the okay.
So actually, it's not. So if you so if you assume direct emission, it's them. But if you assume scope 3, it's actually Petronas. So there is, so there's a nuances on how you do all this calculation. So for people who don't know, I'm just gonna go through very quickly. There's what we call direct emission, and that's what we call indirect emission. So indirect is basically the product you sell and then people use it. So example, if I am an oil and gas company, I technically do not burn the gas that I sell, but that is my indirect emission. But as a company, you under international rule, in Malaysia, not yet, international rule in Europe, etc., you need to calculate your scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. So scope 3 is basically an indirect emission. So when you add up, you're not number 1. So it's a good thing.
Let's take out the energy companies, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfair to them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever it is, when I go
Yeah.
back home tonight, I want to watch my TV.
Yeah.
And we are where we are today, which is
Yeah.
cool, right?
Yeah.
And who do you think? I mean, if you can't say it, I'm fine, right? But who? I mean, these guys are doing for
Yeah.
society,
Yeah.
right? But who do you think really is reckless in carbon? What kind of industry is reckless? When I mean reckless is that, a little bit change, they can make it safe, right? But I'm just personally curious, right? Because
So I wish I have an answer. The problem is that less than 10% of the company right now in Malaysia actually report. So you don't even have data because it's mandatory starting end of this year. So most companies do not report. And some companies report random numbers and get caught and got called out as well because the number just doesn't make sense. So I'm excited that we have regulation that's starting, but if Malaysia behind, we are not. In terms of Southeast Asia, we, yes, maybe behind Singapore when it comes to reporting and management of this, but we are doing okay. But hopefully, when people report, there will be more awareness, and then there will be more action taken. But it takes time. But like for example, the best example is how raise of hand. How many people here, when you go and buy like a snack or whatever, you look at calorie content? Right? See, a lot of people, right? But if I give you an option, right? Let's take the shoe option today, right? So I'm telling you that his shoe is 50 kg, and then you have another alternate option that is 10 kg. Would you buy the 10 kg one if it's, let's say, 5% more expensive? Same design, etc. No? Okay. Well, how many show of hands people would? Well, you have certain amount, right? So I think awareness is important, and this is where measurement comes to effect. Because when we talk to clients, some of the clients like, a customer don't care. It's not true. We have some forward-thinking company. If you drive cars here, one of our clients, I can't name them because they want to make a huge announcement that they're gonna disclose what's the emission of that particular product, and then they let you choose. Hey, our product is this emission, and then versus conventional product is X emission, we choose our product, for example. So I think we are getting there. It just takes time. And it also takes awareness because a lot of people just don't understand, and there's a lot of greenwashing going on. And when we talk about greenwashing, it started with the hotel industry, literally. And it started because hotels say they are green, but it turns out, they are not when it comes to laundry and all the stuff. But my point is when there is proper measurement, proper verification, and then customer end user can make a difference.
yeah, so I mean, if you look at the calorie content, right, it was started from the American FDA, where they imposed certain regulations for people to know what they're eating, right, and especially because kids were unhealthy and all that. Well, when do you think such regulations will happen, right? I mean, somebody has to start it, right?
Yep.
I mean, I first issue is that, I mean, if I've been involved in the food industry from a very
Yep.
high level. I see, and I know how the numbers are derived.
Yep.
Those numbers are manufactured.
Yep.
Some of the calories thing that you're eating, it's not 100% correct. It's somebody, there's no certification that is 100 calories, 100 calories.
Yeah.
It could be 1,000. Right?
Well,
so on the food industry, but it's stable today because people analyze, people check, and this went through many cycles, right? When do you think regulations will come into picture where having carbon footprint. It's a very clear that it has to be regulated so that people can make decisions, right? I personally buy. I mean, I'm by the way, I'm naturally fat, right? So I look at calories all the time, right? So when do you think the regulations come in? Where we are in Malaysia or in the world, with getting this like FDA, right? You cannot export food unless, like in America, you cannot export the food to America without the certifications.
So I think Europeans are leading the pack right now. So you're seeing more and more of this, and it's getting certified, etc. Yes, Malaysia, we're taking the first step. You don't have to verify anything. Now you just report. Right? I know people say, oh, but what if it's random numbers? But now, first stage, right? You get people to report, then we'll go through multiple iteration. But I want to say that the iteration will be shorter. The reason being, if you want to export to Europe, that will be a huge difference. And for example, if you want to sell to Apple, if you don't do this, Apple will say, forget it. I'm not going to buy it from you. And there are more and more companies like Mars, the large FMCG company, your chocolate, your Nestle, etc. They're starting to pay more emphasis on this. Even IKEA furniture. So if you buy IKEA furniture, now they are asking their suppliers, even their shippers, like if you buy online, your IKEA furniture, they ship to you. They're asking their logistic partner to start measuring their emission. It's like, if you don't do that, over time, I'm not going to buy from you. I'm not going to use your service. So it's not just, and why logistic? Because logistic is a huge contributor of emission because cost, right? So it's taking place, but I think it could be faster because it's getting harder. So I wish it's faster, but I think everybody's playing a role. But I think ultimately, consumer, the end user, need to demand for it, and for end consumer to demand for it, you need more information and more awareness. Like I said, the shoe example is, if you see it, it can. But the problem is, it's just chicken and egg. A lot of clients like, my customer don't care, so I'm not going to do it. So if customer care, they will do it. So ultimately, I think we will reach an inflection point. In fact, I was asked this question: have we reached the inflection point? No, at least not here. In Europe, like I was in a conference yesterday. It's kind of international audience, and you can see a huge different opinions. People in emerging markets are, of course not. But people in the advanced economy, Europe, etc., they say we hit an inflection point on this. So it'll take time.
All right, we shall move to Mr. Solar, right? Mr. Davis, right? Right. In Malaysia we have this beautiful thing called NEM, right? Right. It's to me it's a fantastic model. When I first studied it, I was like, what is it? How does it work? Why does it exist and all that? I found it interesting, right? But then I also found out there's only 20,000 homes in Malaysia. Is it a good number? 20,000 homes?
Oh, that's
20 to 30,000 homes that has NEM, right? And the logic thing is this, right? I mean, just imagine this, right? If I buy an EV car, I install solar panels with NEM, theoretically I save 100% of my petrol. I can save up to 100% of my petrol, right? I save a lot of money. But people somehow or another find these things complex. Is it an awareness problem? Is it an industry problem? Is it people just don't care?
Okay, we have a lot of interesting questions just now, so I try to connect all with renewable energy as well to decarbonize for individually. Like, so we talk about your energy asset, energy sector, that how do you power up all your devices or your lifestyle and everything. So I will say net energy metering is one of the best policy in the world that provide you to use the energy and you don't need to install battery storage to store the energy while you are away, because most of the home user, the residentials, they don't stay at home in the morning, but solar generate in the morning only. So it's not feasible for you to not saving the energy in the storage. So NEM is a good mechanism for you to use the grid as a battery bank to store as a credit, then use it at night. So that's the mechanism. That's simple, is it? And Malaysia TMB let you use this grid for free with NEM mechanism. because you can install solar fully to your consumptions, energy consumptions. Basically, you pay 0 to TMB every month, but you're using their grid, you know. So that's I would say is a contribution by TMB that to let us to have that net energy metering. So if you connect this to, example, the EV, we have 150 megawatt NEM now for residentials to apply. And why it is a bit slow? I would say that this is due to buying power, Malaysia buying power, because we still need about 30,000, a range of that to install solar power into the home. And there are PPA model in the overseas. Why there is no PPA model in Malaysia? Because we don't have energy exchange. So being investors, we do PPA for corporate and commercial, but we don't do PPA for residential, because residential you will face a high possibility that the person will move out, will sell the house or anything. So it's difficult because that will turn to 0 for your energy return. So that actually make the owner of the house need to install it with bank financing or your own fork out your own money. So 30,000, I think, yeah, that's why the reason that some of the people not installing, even with the bank financing now. So if we have energy exchange, that when the homeowner selling the house or not staying there, we can sell the energy generated from the house to sell to the grid. Then I will say a lot of energy investor will provide 0 capex, which is PPA model to homeowners. Then that will boost up the installations as well. So another thing is, when we also can have P2P energy trading, that to let the users to trade. So if I connect this to the EV and EV users, why I'm using EV? So if I don't use solar panels to generate energy to save my electricity cost, I generally for residentials, I think the peak is about 57 cents. Then its average up is about 40 cents. So to fully charge my Tesla, it costs about 40 ringgit for 500 kilometer. But if I'm using solar, that my leverage cost of energy with the 25 years panels, lifespan and everything, my leverage cost of energy is below 20 cents, maybe 15 cents. So that actually give me the cost of full charge at about less than 20 ringgit. So that's a significant cost saving for if I use the EV or even for my home electricity usage.
For 500 km, so 20 ringgit divided by 500.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you know, the thing is, all these numbers in Excel is all logical, but when you see in the road, it's not. It's someone other. It's illogical. Something like everything is like tick box, save money better and everything, right? Is it a cultural problem? Is it that we just don't think it's from people, right?
To be fair with Malaysian community and the landscape that we have, the lifestyle that we have as well, I think we are slowly there. I like the problem that Zamzam bring out, that we have the protection to the car industry, local car industry. If in China you can buy a EV at 40,000 ringgit, a very good EV. Yeah, if that will boost up the EV, that will boost up the EV adoption. That will then indirectly and more higher energy consumption. That will boost up the solar installation as well. That will bring out the whole economy and become cheaper and cheaper, lower energy costs and cheaper electric vehicle costs, cheaper transportation costs as well. End of the day.
Okay. I mean, sometimes, I mean, it's got to do with culture, right? I mean, long time ago, my old boss mentioned to me this statement. He was defining culture, right? He says, when you go to somebody's house, you open your shoes. Whether somebody's looking or not looking, you still open your shoes, right? I mean, it's culture. It's our behavior. It's like some people, they don't throw rubbish on the floor because they're scared of get summoned by the police. But some people don't throw rubbish because it's bad, right? And sometimes I wonder, is it a cultural challenge, right? I mean, it's just people just don't care, right? But it's something that, bigger question between all of us, right? And how do we change that, right? right? It ticks every box: save money, make money, cleaner energy.
Yeah, I think generally Malaysians are quite environmental friendly with what we experience. It's really the financial reason that the adoptions is a bit slow. That because all this the earning power of Malaysian generally, the B40 no, the 320 is very little. So the adoption is going to start from the top level, top layer of the community. Then of course I think getting the energy to be cheaper, the solar panel system to be cheaper, EV to be cheaper, and that's the first thing to get more adoptions, in my opinion.
Yeah. Anyway, we got a bunch of questions at the back, by the way, right? Just to share with you guys, right? But I mean, my takeaway, right? My takeaway from my general takeaway from this conversation, right, is that it looks like, we need someone with the rotan, which is the government, to get us to change, right? Right. In high level, right? If not, if the but I mean, from a public perspective, right? I mean, the world has changed many times, right? I mean, if you imagine this in the 80s, we eliminated CFC gases, right? In I think in 2005, I think we eliminated the old light bulbs. You cannot. It's like today you can never buy old light bulbs in town anymore, right? The country has done a lot of great things, right? We just need to get our act together, right? Maybe have a government more than 2 or 3 terms, and then we can get right policies, and get the things down on the ground, right? Right.
I agree with you lah. Sometimes we need a little bit, not say a little bit. Sometimes we need a push for us to change. I guess before COVID, the virtual meeting, thing is not really something that people or the management can buy. I don't know about the other company, but my company, I mean the virtual meeting is something very susah nak jumpa. So because of COVID, we are forced to do a Zoom meeting. I mean, for tenaga, we call it Webex, Google Meet kind of thing. But now, after COVID, this is something, things is normal. Then it's not that the little bit of push because of COVID. And similarly, and I believe that because of this subsidy, although it's going to be targeted, just subsidy bersasar, but it's kind of, a catalyst for some people to change as well.
I think we have like 10 minutes left or something, right? Let's look at the first question, right? I think Mr. Davis is addressed to you, right? It's after the NEM contract, how can we benefit from solar panels when excess energy can't be stored?
Okay, it's very simple. The solar panels' warranty is 25 years. So suppose the system will work minimally 25 years. So after the NEM contracts end, you still can use the system to generate. Maybe 25 years later, it will be like, if according to the data sheet, it will perform at least 80% and above. So that's how it works. So, but if your lifetime change, that you don't, you straight away use, there's no NEM anymore. You can't use it as a credit to store as a credit with TMB metering. Then you just need to use the energy as per generated. So when daytime generated, you use it in daytime, so there's no problem. But with the technology advancement, you might be able to change to a hybrid inverter and battery storage to install the battery storage to your house. Maybe 10 years later, it's no longer that expensive. It's keep on dropping the price. So that you don't need TMB net energy metering anymore. You just can use it, can store the energy as in the battery storage, then can use it anytime you want.
Yeah, I mean, I've also heard that some of the EV cars today, you can charge solar straight to the EV car, and then you can take it from the EV car.
Yeah, maybe top up this question is we talk about infrastructure issue that to grow EV chargings. In fact, when we talk about bigger pictures of EV charging infrastructure growth, that is not actually depending on EV charging station growth. It's not actually depending on the infrastructure only. Partly it will depend on the infrastructure, partly it will depend on the battery storage and maybe solar plant that we can do slow charging or power plant to direct charge to the battery storage, big battery storage, then to use as a charging stations. So we don't need infrastructure to have capacity at the substations to supply energy to the charging station. So that kind of technology will open up the bottleneck for the charging infrastructure. So anywhere you can do DC charging after that, with battery storage price reduction.
All right, thanks. Yeah. The next question, right? Why not hydrogen cars?
Why are we focusing on EV?
Not
You mean,
hydro.
for Ziva, at the moment, we are advocating for electric vehicle, not yet hydrogen, because hydrogen at the moment is still relatively new, and the cost is on the high side. So for Tenaga, yes, we are not, Tenaga is in energy industry, we are not in hydrogen, sorry. We are not in transportation industry, but we are also advocating for hydrogen for our energy usage. I mean, it's a dual firing for our generators or turbine. Instead of using gas, we are also using hydrogen. Again, but I think to say that the cleanest energy, if you're using green hydrogen, so there's also a lot of type of hydrogen thing. Yeah, Mads can verify that. There's also blue hydrogen. There's also brown hydrogen.
Before I was about to say, right, the reason why you don't talk about hydrogen because it does not translate to better bonus to yourself.
Okay, I reserve my comment on that.
Okay, well, hydrogen is not, so most hydrogen that you have today is not green. They are what we call gray hydrogen. It comes from fossil fuel. So your hydrogen, it doesn't really reduce your impact at all because it's from fossil fuel. So people say hydrogen, unless your hydrogen is green, but green hydrogen, the way you make it is you use solar, renewable energy, hydro, etc., to create green hydrogen. But those are very, very expensive. Of course, you have pink, you have blue, and you have all the other colors. I'm going to go into the details. Yeah, if you generate hydrogen through nuclear, it's called pink hydrogen. Don't get me started. I don't know why it's called pink, but yes, there's pink. But my point is, in general, hydrogen is not clean. Most hydrogen that you see right now is not clean at all. So that's the misconception that we have here. So it's good that somebody asked this question. So stick with EV, at least is better. Well, at least for now, until the technology matures.
Resale value of for EV car. Okay. EV car in Malaysia is still relatively new. Basically it's about 1 year old, the car. And I to be honest, I cannot give a accurate answer for this. Because recently one dolphin, 1 year old dolphin, BYD dolphin, not dolphin, the fish, sorry. BYD dolphin put in the website for sale is about 5,000 kilometers mileage. So in general, that the price is about 15% off from the dolphin is about 100,000, 100,000. So they put it at 85,000. It's about 15% off. So then fair to say that for 50%, maybe 15-20% off of the resale value after 1 year is there. But it's still very early to indicate that that's going to be the resale value indicative for Malaysia. Okay, so then so how
the next one is I think the question about time, I think. Right. Anyway, yeah, I mean, sorry, I need to read this. It's time offering solar and EV charger. How can the consumer manage energy better? Yeah, this is a very interesting question, right? I mean, we actually try to crack our head. It's like, what will the home be in 10 years down the road, right? And I mean, what will people want to know? How people consuming today? We don't know consumption patterns, right? We don't know what we're consuming, right? There was a conversation today. They're talking about Kowe water filter, right? It's actually a major energy consumption, right? It's about a couple of ringgit a day, right? It's a little bit below your aircon, right? So, and the one thing is to give you visibility, right? I mean, we're thinking of how to do that. We have some ideas. If we're trying to, the question is, if I give you visibility, then you know how to control, right? And when you know how to control, then you can make better buying decisions. Then you know, like, a Lenovo is better than an iPad or an iPad. You know, you start making better decisions, right? But right now, we just see a bill and end of the month, we consume that much, right? Working on it, we have some ideas, trying to figure this out and trying to make it the big challenge that we face is trying to make it affordable, trying to make it easy, right? There's software things, there's hardware things, right? And I think, I mean, visibility in the electrical world is not a cheap thing, and trying to work and trying to see the technologies out there. I mean, if you guys want to do, I mean, I'm not recommending this thing, right? But if you go to Shopee today or Lazada today, there's all these funny gadgets to give you better visibility on your energy consumption, right? And it's 50, 30, 40 ringgit, right? We can't really sell it because, you know, there's no serum, there's no this and all that, right? But something that for you guys to start with. Next question is, how can I be aware or measure my personal footprint if that's possible? It's something I never thought of.
Okay, well, yeah, the problem is it's hard because, like I said, especially the stuff you buy in Malaysia, nobody provides you with that particular footprint. But I think in general, if you go online and read it, like there are certain things that you can do. Like for example, how many of you guys here love beef? Beef. Okay, let's still. Okay, beef is the worst for the environment. So just, you know, so beef, you just Google beef generate a huge percentage of carbon emission for the whole world because of the way how cows digest their food.
They fart too much, right?
Yeah, but it's more like they burp and they fart. But the problem is the fart that you can literally, their fart actually can explode because it's methane, and methane is close to 30 times worse than CO2. So I think there are some, some basic stuff that you can do as a consumer to start reducing your carbon emission, your footprint. The first thing is, of course, buy less. So I know people like Shein, the fast fashion, etc. Those are worse. Those are bad, right? So we call those disposable clothing. You wear a few times and because it's cheap, those are bad. But I think there are certain things if you go online that start to look into it. There are ways that you can reduce your consumption pattern that is good for the environment. It's not just about recycling. There are other stuff you can do. Like I personally love beef, but once I learned about it, I have cut down a lot of my beef consumption, for example.
You know what you should do, right? You know, there's some apps that can take a photo and estimate calories. You need to take one of those AI stuff, take a photo and estimate.
So for us, we think we want to make the most impact, right? So the most impact actually start from the company, the industry, right? So if they start cutting as the end customer, you have less. So that's how we think about it. But the problem is also, you guys need to advocate, right? So next time you buy shoes, like, hey, why your shoe doesn't have my emission, or why X? But some company are doing that. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree that a push is necessary to activate the change. Which institution do you think would be the most suitable, effective? It can be either two ways, top-down or bottom-up approach. Let's say top-down approach is coming from the agency, the policy maker. They are the one who are supposed to do, let's say, leading the change. There can also be the bottom-up approach coming from the association, industry players. And back to the context of today's discussion, why not all of you become the pressure group, do the change, so that people up there will take it, and this is the time for us to move to transition. I mean, in the end of the day, I think the rakyat is the one that, would say, no, I'm not a politician, by the way. Again, the rakyat give the most significant impact. Okay, I think it can be either way lah. It cannot be only one side.
Yeah, but what you brought up, one thing I was shocked today to see that one of the reasons for low adoption is because of our legacy, is protectionism of our, right? And the thing, I mean, if you think about it, right, we are Asians. We're very docile people, right? They ask us to jump, we jump. They charge us 300% tax on cars. We say, okay, boss.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Right. It is an interesting problem. We have a situation where we're docile. We kind of accept whatever the government does. It's like, I mean, the day I took my mom to the government hospital, they basically waited 6 hours. Waited, didn't complain. Yes, we met a doctor. You know what I mean? We're docile people.
Yeah,
right?
because
And
it's normal 6 hours in government hospital.
Yeah,
And so it's something acceptable.
and what's the carbon footprint for that? Right. Anyway, but anyway, just to wrap up, right? Some of us have to leave, and 5:30 is an interesting time of KL Jam, right? All right, and we don't want to increase people's footprint, right? All right,
I think that one of the question how to totally go off grid and be sufficient. You can, of course, with the today technology on solar panel system, you can, but don't. I mean, you have TMB that provide you free grid access. You don't need to pay if you go completely solar energy, go NEM and use the grid because they let you to use it free. So that will cut down at least more than half of your project cost to go totally off grid. And we met a lot of people, a lot of rich people that tell us, hey, I want to go totally off grid. I don't care. Then in the final, when we propose the totally off grid cost, then they will actually go to grid as well. So it doesn't make sense. And yeah, I mean, you have TMB that fully use TMB grid to go solar. I think it's a good idea. And I think the solar panel outage of TMB, how can we leverage on solar panel system and all the inverter? So the NEM system will use on-grid solar inverter, which is it needs to function with the grid synchronizations. So it doesn't work when you have no grid and no electricity. So it doesn't work if you want to go with the grid, but you can always install battery storage with off-grid inverter. Then of course, it will work without grid. And you can also go to grid and install hybrid inverter with storage. Then it will work with grid when there's grid. It will work with storage when there's no grid. And of course, off-grid and hybrid more expensive than grid.
Yeah, I mean, to add into it, right? I mean, something that I learned in the past 1.5 years, is that the reason why the inverter shuts down when Tenaga has an outage is a safety feature. Very interestingly, right? If ever the inverter works, means electricity is being pumped back to the grid, and our friends at Tenaga who's trying to climb the pole to fix the cables might get electrocuted from your solar panels. So it has to shut down, right? It's an industry. I mean, one thing I have to share with everyone, it's an industry full of health and safety. Electricity kills compared to a lot of other business, right? And electricity can injure, can kill, can do a lot of damage, right? And if you look at the stakeholders in the industry, right? Bomba is a big picture, right? Bomba has got involved in the charging stations from a safety angle. Bomba is involved with the solar panels, right? Anyway, any questions from the room? If none, right? All right, we'll wrap it up. Any last words?
Well, I think we have a lot of young people and a young generation in here. Definitely, I think you guys are the future that will decarbonize Malaysia 2050. Our net zero target is 2050. So do share a lot, and I believe that you all have a very good thinking to decarbonize Malaysia. Go EV, use a lot of clean energy, and of course, recycle. Decarbonize individual lifestyle decarbonization. I think is most important. Then you go to corporate, go to industry, and everything. I think that will materialize our 2050 net zero target.
So I think I want to end it with a quote, right? So we do not inherit Earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our next generation, right? So I consider myself still young. So, I borrow it, a lot of you guys borrow it from me. Well, the younger one, yes, I'm borrowing it from you. But I think the actions start from you, right? You can make some conscious decision on how to reduce your impact, conscious decision on how you consume, and of course, consideration of what energy you use, etc. So some awareness goes a long way, and then that will hopefully translate to action from the large corporation. I'll give you an example, right? Most of the people we deal with in company that want to go green or measure, etc., are the young people. The older generation tends to, I don't want to deal with this. So I'm very happy because I deal with a lot of young people. My company, average age, I'm among the oldest in my company. I'm not that old, but still, most of my employees are 20-somethings, because people like you guys are the next generation and are the one that are going to make the most difference. And most importantly is, if this is the last generation that can make a change. If we do not make a change now, by 2050, then we're literally going to be burning. Literally going to be burning.
Okay, speaking about change, let's be the one that make it happen. So okay, maybe AV is one of the area that I'm advocating now, but I think it's good for energy transition. Here we're talking about decarbonization and so on. But I think we need to something that someone need to be championing it and then do the change and let us, the one that do the change for it, and it's good for everyone. And buy EV, please.
And use more electricity. Right. Anyway, thanks everyone. Right. I hope everyone had fun. I had fun myself. Thank you.
Yep. I just want to extend our gratitude to our panelists. Their insights, expertise, passions, jokes, truly enrich our discussion and made our experience really both enlightening and enjoyable. Wishing you all the best in future endeavors. Farewell and see you in future.